All right. It is Wyoming football media days here in Laramie, and I am here with defensive tackle coach Jeff Phelps. Good to see you, Coach.
Great to see you. Thanks for having me.
All right. My first question for you is you're new on the staff, and you have spent 3 seasons with Coach Sawvel at Northern Illinois, and then another 6 with him at Minnesota, right?
That is correct.
So I guess what was that relationship between you guys to be able to hook back up here in Laramie?
Well, it was great, and that staff that we had both at Northern Illinois and at Minnesota under Jerry Kill was an outstanding staff. Great guys to work with. It was really like a family type of atmosphere, and so getting a chance to reconnect with Coach Sawvel was a blessing. So no doubt the relationship. I mean, obviously with the defensive line and the secondary, it is like a marriage in the sense that they're expecting us to provide some pressure on the quarterback, and we're expecting them to hold down the receivers just a little bit longer to give us a little bit more time to get to the quarterback. So that bond and that connection is one in which that is strong. He's a great man, a great person, and he's definitely one that's great to work for.
All right, and then even back in those days, did you think that he would get this opportunity someday to be a head football coach?
Oh, no doubt. You knew, and at that time he was the secondary coach, the special teams coordinator, and just the way that he ran the special teams part of the defense, or the team, you just knew, right? Like he had the connection with the players, both offensively and defensively. He's a football junkie, and he loved the game. He's passionate about the game, and you can see that. He's very well organized. I let come out and he'd have his DBs going through walkthroughs, and making sure that they knew all the ins and outs of all the checks and communications and things of that nature that they were going to see. And over the years, he's been great at identifying great players that may not be the finished product coming out of high school, but then under his care, under the care of the rest of the staff, develop into that guy that could be an outstanding college football player, and some have actually gone on and played at the next level after that.
Yeah, no, that's good. So moving on here, I guess what are your thoughts on your defensive tackle room that you're coaching now? I know you had 8 returning players from last year. A little bad news yesterday with Sam Sula being out for the year at ACL, but what is your evaluation of the group of guys that you're coaching?
So Sam Sula was his Achilles. That was a tough one because he was really making some strides over the course of the spring. He had a really outstanding summer, and then even the first couple of weeks of fall camp were going really well for him. But it's a next man up mentality. We'll look forward to getting him back when we do get a chance to get him back. I know he'll be ready to rip and roar and ready to go once that happens. But again, we've got a great room. Heading up with Jordan Bertoli, being the leader of the group. He's like a coach out there on the field.
Yeah.
He knows the ins and outs of the defense. He knows the ins and outs of the state of Wyoming and what it takes to be a Wyoming football player. And so it is truly a blessing to have him in the room. Then you've got the emergence of a lot of guys that have played sparingly over their time here, but now have really been thrust into a really critical role. Jaden, without the Y.
Yeah, there's 2 Jadens, remember, everybody.
Jaden without the Y. He's had an outstanding camp. It's really showing very well. Ben has had an outstanding camp. Both of those guys are battling. It just seems like, one might outdo the other one day versus the next. And then they're a dynamic supporting role to Bert from that standpoint. And then you've got the young Jaden, JY, as we call him. He's emerging along with Dante. They're emerging as guys that are very, very talented, great athletes, great people, but they're still in that learning process. And so a little bit of it is going to be, as they say, rust into the fire, and they're going to have to make some mistakes along the way. But those mistakes that they make will benefit them, benefit the team in the future.
I like that, JY. Yeah, we can get that catching on.
JY and JD. Yeah. That's how we determine who's who.
So in terms of rotation and stuff, for you as the defensive tackle coach, how many guys do you like to have game ready?
Yeah, so there's going to be 4 of the D tackles that play a significant amount of snaps.
Yeah.
We're usually probably going to rotate these 5, just because of how the nature of the beast and things of that nature. But yeah, we're looking for the top 5 guys that can go out there and that can produce. And I always like to say that it really shouldn't matter who's out there. We should not lose any productivity. We should not lose any fundamentals. And that's the challenge that we're all up against. Because, Burton Owen, his time is to take a break, as we try to roll those guys through. Then we need that next guy that can step in and not have any drop off, not have any missed assignments, where all of a sudden it puts a little bit more stress on the rest of the defense.
Oh, that's good. And that was going to be one of my questions. So you got to it. In terms of what are your expectations, right? Just making sure, like Coach Sawvel said today at the luncheon, which I found very interesting, was his idea that this is the most consistent football team that he's seen since he's been here. And so it seems like that's kind of a big thing for you, is just consistency.
Right, no question. The consistency is key. And that's why we practice. And practice to develop that muscle memory. That muscle memory turns into consistency on what we can count on. We can count on this guy to be where he's supposed to be. We can count on this guy to make a play when he's supposed to make a play. On the flip side, if we don't have that, then obviously there'll be a bust. The guy will go the right way. The gap will open up. It'll be a huge play. And that huge play, it may not hurt you right then and there, but in the course of a game where there's probably about 4 to 5 plays that if it swung a different way, the result of the game might have swung a different way.
No, for sure. And then just looking at your past coaching history, I think it's very interesting. You kind of rose up in the ranks. I didn't know that you started out at Division III football, right?
Yeah.
Hillsdale.
Actually, DePaul.
At DePaul, which is
University.
Up in Wisconsin, that one?
No, DePaul is with the W.
Yeah, the one with the W.
With DePaul.
Yeah.
Being from the Chicagoland area, all my buddies, when I told them I was coaching at DePaul, they were like, they don't have a football team.
They're a basketball school.
Right, exactly. But yes, DePaul with the W down there in Greencastle, Indiana.
It's in Indiana, okay.
Division III school, high academic school. It was under Nick Morosis, who has passed away since. But man, I mean, it was a great opportunity coming from playing at Ball State, being a graduate assistant at Ball State, to really kind of, get some of the great fundamentals and be around a bunch of great coaches, a bunch of great players to really learn what it takes to be a football coach.
Yeah, so you've been there, and then you coached your way up to the SEC too with Mississippi State.
That's correct.
Yep. So my question is, in terms of coaching, is football, or do you have to tweak your message as you rise up and go through the different levels?
Yeah, that's a very good question. No doubt, I always say football is football across the board, no matter where you're at, because you're playing against, Division III schools don't play against Division III other Division III schools, and there's great football at that Division III level. I was at Hillsdale College. There was great football in the GLIAC in the Division II level. At Northern Illinois, great football in the Mid-American Conference. And so forth and so on. So, and that's the thing, everybody wants to play at the highest level, but coming out of high school, everybody may not be at that level just yet.
Only so many opportunities.
No question. But college football, I tell everybody that I see, everybody that I know, if you're a football player, if you're inspired to play college football, go do it. Find you a place where you can play. You're going to have an amazing college football experience.
That's great,
because you got great coaches, you got great players, you got great competition. It's the game of football. The game that everybody knows.
That's right. And we do here in Wyoming, of course. And then another thing that I wanted to ask you about, I was reading through your official bio that Wyoming put out, and it says that you're going to be in charge of recruiting Texas. So just what are your kind of links down there to Texas? Because I know that's a very competitive place down there to do recruiting.
Yeah, very, very competitive. Very big state.
But a lot of talent.
I don't have all the Texas.
Yeah,
I have one small. I say a small portion. Well, I've got Fort Worth down to Waco, down to Austin, and then into San Antonio. Texas has been really important in the recruiting here at the University of Wyoming.
Yeah.
And so we're going to make sure that we got great coverage from that standpoint. Oscar, that I replaced, the D tackle coach, he's from that area. He recruited that same area. We got a lot of defensive tackles that are from that area. So it kind of made sense to kind of match that up. A lot of great defensive linemen down there in the state of Texas. And we can go after big guys that can run around. And I did get a chance to recruit a little bit of the Texas area, that Dallas, the Metroplex. I was able to recruit that a little bit at the University of Minnesota. Okay. So there was a little bit of a, an understanding of, what it takes, how you have to work it. And I'm looking forward to continuing to build those relationships down there with those great coaches in Steve State.
Sure. So, all right. Well, Coach, thank you so much for your time.
All right.
Good luck this season.
Thank you very much.
We'll see you soon.
Appreciate what you do. Go, Phelps.